Hi friends, it's Alyssa. I am here with another reading for you today. I hope everybody has been doing well. So today's reading is going to be a message that is meant to find you right now. So this could be about pretty much anything. This is not going to be specifically about relationships or a career or anything like that. Just in general, what is a message that you need to hear at this time in your life? So we have 3 cards to choose from here. These are all from the Solitary Witch Oracle. Card number 1 is the Beltane Lover. Card number 2 is Self-Initiation. And card number 3 is A Broom of Her Own. So I'll give you guys a minute to make your choices. The timestamps will be in the description as always. Before we get started, I do need to say thank you to my channel members, Marigold and Stephanie. Thank you so much for being here. If you are interested in becoming a channel member, the link to do so will be in the description. We would love to have you. We have stickers, we have exclusive videos every month, and also my level 3 members get discounted personal readings from me. Also, if you're interested in a personal reading, the link to my Etsy store will be in the description as well. I will be recording the members video for this month, this weekend. I'm going to be talking about my experiences with a certain entity, a certain spirit guide that I've worked with for quite a long time. It's not Anubis, it's not Odin. I know I've talked about both of them before on this channel, but level 2 memberships and up do get access to videos about spirit work and practical magic and all kinds of things of that nature, and I am, like I said, making new ones every month. Please join us if that sounds interesting to you. All right, I think we are going to go ahead and get started now with group number 1. All right, so group 1, your card is the Beltane Lover. So this card, generally speaking, is about love and romance and sensuality, but it also talks about the freedom to choose when it comes to love and relationships, and the freedom to let go of a relationship if you so desire. It talks about the idea that love should never trap or bind, that love is ultimately a choice. Right? There's always excitement and infatuation at the start of a relationship, and this is, specifically talking more about romantic connections. But a long-term connection often requires us to continue making the choice to love that person, choosing that person over and over again, even when they're pissing us off, even when times are tough, and so on. So that's kind of what this card is talks about. Let's see, what deck do I want to use for you guys? I think I'm gonna use the Modern Spellcasters Tarot for you, group 1. So let's see what else wants to come out here. Immediately, with this oracle card, your message seems to be relating to maybe the relationships in your life. Okay, so we have the 6 of Wands here, and we also have the Queen of Swords. So the 6 of Wands is very much a card of passion and enthusiasm, optimism. The 6 of Wands is like victory, achieving success or achieving recognition for your accomplishments. And then the Queen of Swords, this is a very logical, very rational kind of figure. The Queen of Swords tends to be a very no-nonsense sort of person or individual, but this also can be kind of an unemotional energy. Like, swords just in general are really associated with our thoughts and reason and that kind of thing. And so the Queen of Swords tends to be indicative of some degree of emotional detachment or coldness even sometimes. So let's get a few more cards and see what else wants to come out. We have the Ace of Wands, more of that passionate, fiery Wands energy. The Ace in particular is also about new beginnings, or, you know, some new fresh energy coming into a situation, new ideas, a new project starting. We also have the Chariot here, which this is a very action-oriented card. It indicates movement, but it also can, well, in some cases, the Chariot can also represent a choice to make. And also there is this real sense of like ambition or determination or like willpower represented by this card. Let's see, let's get maybe two more. Okay, we have the King of Swords, and he is coming out right underneath the Queen. So that's kind of interesting. Similar to the Queen, the King of Swords is again a very logical kind of figure. He is again kind of implies some degree of emotional detachment or emotional coldness. The King of Swords also talks to me a lot about like truth or insight, achieving clarity on something. Let me get one more card for you guys. Oh my goodness. Okay. We've got the Knight of Cups. So the Knight of Cups is, usually this card talks about some kind of forward movement within a relationship. There is, you know, this very romantic kind of energy that comes through with the Knight of Cups. It can be like, this card can represent like a relationship moving forward to the next level, or it can represent people opening up to one another emotionally, expressing themselves in that way. It can also represent, you know, affection or fondness towards other people or towards one another. And also it can be like an offer coming towards you, or an offer being made to you, like a love offer or something like that. On the bottom of your deck, group 1, we have the Five of Wands. So the Five of Wands indicates conflict or tension, or the energy of this card just tends to be very chaotic a lot of times. It's like people being at odds with one another. So this Five of Wands is kind of representing like the overall energy or the overarching theme of your spread, group 1, which implies that whatever it is you are going through right now, whatever might be going on in your life, it is something, it seems like there is some level of like tension or conflict, or maybe things just feel very hectic for you right now. In, you know, with the Oracle card that you have here, and also the Knight of Cups showing up, it does seem like for a lot of you, this tension or this conflict could be the result of a relationship in your life. Particularly a romantic connection, although it doesn't necessarily have to be that, but it just seems like there might be a person in your life or somebody that you really care about that is kind of causing you some grief, or that is, you know, the source of this tension that you're experiencing. I feel like there's a desire here for honesty or clarity. Like somebody is really wanting to just understand like the other person, like what's going on. But I feel like I feel like there's one party here that is really seeking clarity on this whole situation, and then the other party is being maybe very distant, or just not giving out a lot of information, just kind of leaving the other person guessing or something like that. And whoever it is that is seeking clarity, I feel like that person is, I feel like that person does have a lot of love for the other individual. You know, this person is very fond of that other individual, but they're also really hoping for, or really desiring, like some kind of forward movement. They're desiring some kind of progression, with or without that person. So, and I feel for the majority of you, the person who is seeking clarity here and seeking progression is probably you. And maybe somebody you are dealing with is being distant, or, you know, just not, you know, not really giving you anything right now. But so I feel like if that's the case, you are maybe starting to wonder, like, is it time for me to move on here, or is it time for me to let this go? You know, is it time for me to jump in my chariot and ride off, you know, ride away from this whole situation? I want to grab another oracle card for you guys. This is from the Mausolea Oracle of Souls. And also, this doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic situation. I just feel like for a lot of you, that's probably what it is. But it doesn't have to be. This could be, you know, a friendship or a family member, or maybe even somebody that you work with, that's, you know, being represented here. So just kind of take it how it applies for you. Okay, what is a message that group 1 needs to hear right now? Okay, Master of the Great Hunt, authority, the hunt, natural balance. So let me read to you the description of this card out of the booklet. The Master of the Great Hunt is the lord of his domain in the sense that he embodies its nature. His power supports his interests, but does not dictate after the fashion of a tyrant, nor attempt to govern it. Those who serve him do so out of loyalty rather than fear, and pursue those paths which are natural to themselves. Aron directs one to follow one's nature rather than attempting to orchestrate others in pursuit of the most important quarry of all. Interesting. There is, so, okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out like how I want to explain what I'm getting here. There is like an element of choice with this card. The Master of the Great Hunt, his followers do so out of loyalty, not fear. This is an authority figure who does not dictate others, who is not a tyrant over his subjects. So there's kind of this element of choice going on with this card. There's an element of choice with the Chariot. There's an element of choice with the Beltane Lover. I feel like some of you are maybe dealing with somebody who is not doing what you want them to do. They are not making the choices that you would like for them to make. In some way, they're going against your wishes, or they're going against what you want for them to do, or what you want to like have happen between you, something like that. And this is not to say that you are being controlling or anything necessarily, but it just feels like you maybe have this idea or this desire, this desired outcome perhaps for this relationship that we're talking about, whatever relationship that might be. Again, it could be romantic or it may not be. But it feels like you guys have like a desired outcome that you would like to achieve with this person, but they are not cooperating with like your plans or what you would like to have happen. And so that may be where all of this tension and this conflict is coming from, this opposition, because it feels like you and this person may be in some way like in opposition with each other. I feel like this person that you're dealing with could be very stubborn, or they might just have a very, clear picture of the direction they want to go, and it just simply doesn't align with where you want to go. And so the message that's coming through here, group 1, is that you need to allow this person to make their own choices. I'm also getting right now that for some of you, this could be like a child that you're dealing with that's maybe not making the best decisions or something like that. Just somebody that you care about that is either making poor choices, or they're just not being cooperative with you. They're taking a path that you don't agree with for some reason. Something like that. But what you need to know and what you need to understand is that even if this person is making mistakes, or even if this person is going in a bad direction, or what you perceive to be a bad direction, it seems like you've reached a point where you kind of just have to let go and allow them to do what they're doing. Like you have to kind of just allow them to make their own mistakes and, choose, take their own path. Like if this is the path that they are choosing, you have to let them take it, because that's the only way that they are ever going to achieve like the clarity that you want them to have. Does that make sense? You might be looking, from the sidelines and saying you're going down a bad path, you're making poor choices, whatever. But from their perspective, they don't see it that way. And they're not going to see it that way until they actually see the results of their choices, or until they actually get to where they are going and they realize, oh, this is not at all what I expected or what I wanted. For some of you, this person may not actually realize that, let's see, how do I want to say this? Let me back up a little bit. For some of you, this person is not necessarily going down a bad path. It may just be a path that you don't agree with, or that maybe you think they could do better, or you think that they should be doing something different. And again, this could be going back to that, parent-child type of energy that I mentioned earlier. Or for some of you, this could be a good friend, or even a partner or an ex-partner or something like that. Spirit is just really, really emphasizing that, like, you have to allow this person to make their own mistakes. If what they're doing does prove to be a mistake, like they have to learn that firsthand. They have to learn from the experience themselves. You can't force someone to do anything, right? Even if you do have their best interests in mind, at the end of the day, we have to allow others to, utilize their own free will, obviously. And if you want to continue to love that person despite, maybe not agreeing with them, or despite, the distance that might be arising between you, or whatever, then, you can continue choosing to love that person. Or if you choose to let it go, if you choose to move on with your life, you can do that too. It's entirely up to you how you navigate the situation moving forward. But, the thing is, you're not going to be able to make them do what you think is best. They're going to do what they think is best for them. If they come back towards you, then they come back. If they don't, then they don't. And, I really think what this message boils down to is this need for you to, like, surrender. the situation or surrender this connection and just accept that things don't always, we don't always get the outcome we wanted, or things, you know, things don't always meet our expectations. And that can be a hard truth to swallow, but you know, sometimes that's just the way that it is. And again, I want to really emphasize that I'm not saying, group one, that you are controlling or that you are, you know, clingy or anything negative like that, because, you know, you may not be. You may just genuinely really care about this person and really want the best for them. But Spirit is saying, like, you've got to surrender control over this whole situation, because if you just continue to worry about it, or if you continue trying to like steer this person in the right direction, it's just going to wear you down in the end. You are just going to become so exhausted, and you're still not going to get the outcome that you want. So it's going to be a lot of wasted energy on your part. And that may be a difficult thing to accept, you know, this idea of surrendering the situation, just letting this person go and do what they need to do, make their mistakes. But I feel, it feels like that's necessary here. And whatever this is, it seems like it's something that you have been really concerned about for some time. It's something that has maybe been really kind of eating away at you, or something that you've just, you know, it's been really occupying your thoughts and your energy. And Spirit wants you to know that it's time to release that. It's time to release that attachment to this thing, and, you know, just let it go and say, okay, I'm letting this go. I'm gonna let this person do what they need to do, or I'm gonna let this situation unfold the way that it's meant to. And I understand that you probably really don't want to lose this person, but if you don't let it go, it's just gonna be a fight, constant battle. Like I said, it's gonna wear you down so much. It's gonna burn you out. It's time for you to lighten your load and, you know, breathe again. It may be really difficult surrendering this, but I think if you can do that, you're going to feel so much lighter. You're going to feel so much more free. So group one, that's what I'm seeing for you guys, a message that is meant to find you right now. So whatever it is that you guys are going through, like I said, it could be a romantic thing, it could be an ex, it could be a child, it could be a close friend, someone that you just deeply care about. Some connection that you want to hold on to, but it's just not working out the way you hoped. It's time to surrender that thing. It's time to release this burden, because it feels like it has been a burden to you. Even if you haven't really looked at it that way, it is a burden. It weighs you down. It occupies so many of your thoughts, so much of your time, so much of your energy. It is a burden. It's time to let that burden go. It may be difficult to do so. It may be painful. Nobody said it wouldn't be, but it feels like it's necessary for you. And this release, it doesn't have to be, you know, if you and this person go your separate ways, it doesn't necessarily have to be permanent, but it is necessary at this point in time, it feels like. So, yeah, group one, I think I'm going to leave that there. Those are really all the messages that I am getting for you right now. So I hope that this was interesting. I hope that this reading resonated with you and was maybe helpful to you. The link to my Etsy store is in the description. If you're interested in getting a personal reading with me, you can also find the link to become a channel member down there if you would like to do that. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I really appreciate it, and I am wishing you all the best. I hope I see you next time. Bye. All right, if you chose group 2, the self-initiation card, let's find out what you are meant to hear right now. So I think I'm going to use the Modern Spellcasters Tarot for you guys as well. Before I do that though, I do want to talk a little bit about this card. So self-initiation, this card is really about like choice, choosing our own path. Even when nobody is watching, to acknowledge our choice, or even if people are watching us and they disagree with our decision. This is really about like committing to our, choices, our path that we decide to take, committing to what we believe in. Again, even if nobody is acknowledging our choice. So let's see what tarot cards want to come out for you guys, group 2. What is a message that group 2 is meant to hear right now? Okay, we have the 3 of Swords coming out, kind of a heavy energy right out of the gate. The 3 of Swords is about grief, loss, heartache. It can represent betrayal, some kind of inner turmoil. Goodness. We've got the Page of Swords. So the Page of Swords is very much a messenger. This card can represent communication or messages coming in. It also talks a lot about truth or clarity or, new ideas, some kind of, let's see. Okay, we've got the Ace of Cups. So the Ace of Cups, aces in general are really about like new beginnings or, kind of like pages, some kind of new fresh energy coming into a situation. The Ace of Cups in particular also connects to like love and relationships. And so this card can represent like the start of a new relationship, or it can represent a new beginning within a relationship, or even, an opportunity or an offer pertaining to a connection that you may be involved in, or something like that. Let's see. Let's get a few more. We have the Emperor. So the Emperor is a husband, a father figure, a protector, and a provider. He is very grounded. He is very stable and reliable. He is also, he also represents like authority or control, but he's not a controlling individual per se. Okay, we've got the Four of Pentacles. So 4 of Pentacles is a little bit similar to the Emperor in the sense that, again, this is a card of stability. This is a card of control. Sometimes the Four of Pentacles can indicate like some kind of like controlling behavior, or somebody who's really just trying to like orchestrate a situation, or just, make things happen the way that they want them to. Let me get one more. All right, we have the Lovers. The Lovers is about balance and unity, partnerships, really being in alignment with another person, or even just, the card doesn't even necessarily have to be about like 2 people. It can also be about like being in alignment with the universe, or being in alignment with a group of people, or something like that. On the bottom of your deck, group 2, we have the Two of Swords. So the Two of Swords talks about a choice, but often a choice that you're having a hard time making, indecision, being locked in a stalemate, unsure of, what path you should take or what you should do. So definitely a very kind of stagnant energy with the Two of Swords. And this is, with this being on the bottom of your deck, this is really talking to us about really this is representing like kind of the overall theme or energy of your situation right now, perhaps. So in general, it feels like you guys are in some kind of situation where you're having a hard time deciding like what to do. What should your next steps be here? You may be feeling very stuck. You may be feeling kind of trapped in your current situation, whatever it might be. And with the Three of Swords being here, there is this sense of like grief or this sense of sadness. Something has not gone the way that you hoped, or you have lost something important to you, or maybe someone. It feels like some of you, group 2, are maybe in kind of a transitional, like transformative period of your life. Like you might be in the middle of, one situation or like one way of being coming to an end, and another way of being like starting to open up for you, if that makes sense. It just kind of feels like you've got one foot in the past and one foot in the future, and you're feeling kind of torn, or you're feeling stuck. You're not sure if you should go backwards or if you should keep moving forward. I'm going to grab a card from the Mausolea Oracle of Souls for you guys as well, and just see what they would like to add. We have the Prince, the Forgotten Adversary, Sorrow, Lost Valor, Serendipity. Interesting. So let me read to you guys the description of this card really quickly. The shattered remains of a once great devil who fought against the rulers of Urkala and lost badly. An empty but still fearsome shell, his very presence as he wanders the borders of the realm serves to chase away the constant encroachers from the outer darkness who were once his allies. Although he himself has no memory, the prince reminds us that to dwell in disgrace, sorrow, and loss has an impact on the world around us. Sometimes unlooked for benefits, and sometimes ironic self-sabotage. Interesting. So this is kind of talking about dwelling in the past, or dwelling on our grief, dwelling on something negative that we have maybe experienced. So that kind of, I think, emphasizes what I was just talking about with regards to you guys maybe having one foot in the past and one foot in the future, feeling torn. Do I go back? Do I go forward? Or do I just stay right here where I am? I think, group 2, I feel like it's time for you to take action. It's time for you to stop being stuck. It's time for you to start moving forward again. Maybe you've been in this stalemate for some time. I feel as though, obviously this is general, so everybody's situation is going to be different, but I do feel as though a lot of you, group 2, have experienced some really difficult things in your lives, and maybe in the recent past even, losses, betrayals, just a lot of sadness and grief. But, and these things maybe have held you back or are holding you back. Maybe there is a part of you that is wanting to put things back together. Whatever it was that kind of fell apart in your life, or whatever it was that you lost, or, whatever the case may be, I feel like there's a part of you that has been wanting to try to put that back together, or to try to fix that thing, or regain that thing that was lost. But group 2, the thing is, we can never go back. We can never go back to the way that things once were. Even if we did, it wouldn't feel the same. The past is the past, and as painful as it is sometimes to let it go, it needs to be let go. Group 2, I feel like a lot of you have I feel like a lot of you have ideas about what you want for yourselves moving forward. Like maybe you have been thinking about starting a new career, or, you know, going back to school, or, you know, starting some kind of creative projects or something like that. Or even, you know, this could even be related to like, you know, your relationships. Maybe you've been wanting to meet somebody new or something like that. It just feels like so many of you are deep down like really wanting to welcome in some new fresh energy into your lives. You're really wanting a fresh start, but there's a part of you that really is fearful about that, like fearful about opening up that door and letting something new in. You know, that's understandable. Like, new things can be scary, especially if we don't really know what to expect, and especially if we've had, you know, less than positive experiences in the past, because it's kind of like, okay, how is this new thing going to hurt me, or how is this new thing going to go wrong? But who's to say that it will go wrong? Who's to say that it will hurt you? How do you know that that will happen? I feel like a lot of you, group 2, have some fear of the unknown, because the past, what is, you know, the things that are painful, the things that are difficult, they may be painful and difficult, but they are at least familiar to you. And so there is some comfort in that familiarity. As scary as it might be, Spirit is telling you that now is the time for you to go down your own path. It's time for you to choose your own path and commit to it. And people around you may not agree with it. People around you may not want you to take this path. They may not want you to move forward. They may not want you to move on. But you have to. It's time. It's time for you to go your own way and finally, like, do something for yourself. I feel maybe a lot of you have never really done much for yourselves. Maybe you've always been, maybe you've always prioritized other people, your family, your friends. Maybe you've always kind of went along with what other people's expectations were for you. And that, you know, where has that led you? It's time for you to break free from other people's expectations and what others want you to do. And it's time for you to do what you want to do what, you know, what calls to you. What do you feel led to do now? Because they're saying if you continue to follow other people's rules or to abide by other people's expectations, you are ultimately going to just be, you know, this lost, empty shell of a person. Like, you're going to lose sight of yourself more than you already have. You need to reconnect with who you are and rediscover yourself, what you're passionate about, what you care about. It's time to align with yourself. It's time to take control over your own life, over your own situation, and start doing things that fill your emotional cup. Okay? That is so important for you right now. So don't be afraid of what's to come. Don't be afraid of the unknown. The unknown definitely can be scary, but it's no scarier. It's definitely no scarier than this. Okay? Because if you stay where you are, or if you try to go back, this is going to be your future. You don't want that. You don't want that. Okay, group 2. So I think I'm going to leave that there. Those are really all the messages that I am getting for you right now. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that this resonated with you. I hope you enjoyed. If you would like a private reading with me, the link to my Etsy is in the description. Also, you can find the link to become a channel member down there if you're interested in that. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I really appreciate it, and I hope I see you next time. Bye. All right, and if you chose group 3, a broom of her own. What is a message that you are meant to hear right now? So before I pull your tarot cards, I want to talk a little bit about this oracle card. A broom of her own. This is really about like clearing space, sweeping away things that you do not need. It's also about like fresh starts and just kind of like being easy or being gentle with yourself. And knowing that not everything is your responsibility. Sometimes we have to let other people make their own choices and write their own stories. Even if we disagree, even if we, really care about that person and we know that what they're doing is not in their best interest, at the end of the day, we have to accept that, other people's choices, actions ultimately are not our responsibility. The bad things that happen in the world are not our responsibility. So let's see what cards want to come out for you guys. We have the Lovers. So the Lovers is unity and partnership. It is about being in alignment. Two people being in alignment with each other, but also it can just be about being in alignment with yourself, with the universe. It's a card of balance as well. Let's see, we have Strength. Strength is a very powerful card. It is courage and perseverance, but also it's about overcoming adversity, overcoming challenges that we face with love and with, compassion. We've also have the Empress here, which the Empress is a very loving maternal figure. She is nurturing, she is caring, she is empathetic and compassionate. She also can indicate like fertility or creativity, making something new. Let's see, what else wants to come out for you guys, group 3? We have the 8 of Wands, and we have the 4 of Wands. So the 8 of Wands is really an action-oriented card. It talks about like change, movement, also communication or messages coming in, especially good news coming your way. We also have the 4 of Wands here, which is kind of similar to the Lovers. The 4 of Wands, again, is a card of balance and unity. This is also a very uplifting, very celebratory kind of energy. It's like people coming together and having good times. And we've got the 9 of Cups. So the 9 of Cups talks about wish fulfillment, emotional satisfaction, feeling very much like on top of things emotionally, feeling like you're kind of on top of the world. And on the bottom of your deck, group 3, we have the Hierophant. So the Hierophant is really associated with tradition or, the conventional established ways of doing things. He can represent things like family, educational institutions, religious institutions, that kind of thing. So those are your cards. Let me also pull for you a card from the Mausolea Oracle of Souls and see what they would like to add. What is a message that group 3 is meant to hear right now? All right, we have the Poet of Avon, the Storyteller, Fame, Stagnation, and Pride. Interesting. So let me read to you the description for this card really quickly. The Poet of Avon clings too closely to his previous existence, both unable to forget his former achievements and unable to do anything but continue to replicate them. He eternally retreads the same ground he did in life, producing works for eager audiences who fuel his creative expression by feeding his ego with applause and encores. The Poet of Avon teaches us that fame and adulation can be both reward and chain, and that one can use one's creative spark to feed oneself temporally, but mind to look after spiritual food as well. What I'm seeing here, group 3, is it seems like a lot of you have been very focused or very preoccupied with, like, not material things necessarily, but with doing things. How do I want to say this? I feel like a lot of you who chose this group maybe have generally in your lives just been very much focused on, you know, the quote unquote real world, you know, doing things in your day-to-day life, accomplishing your like career goals, your financial goals, your, you know, relationship goals, you know, having a family, doing all of that kind of stuff, you know, working on creative projects, or just making things like in the tangible sense. And maybe a lot of you have not put so much attention on like your spiritual side. I feel like maybe that has been an aspect of yourselves that you have kind of neglected in your life. It feels like a lot of you have been very successful in your lives. You know, you've made great accomplishments. You've achieved so many things, so many successes. You've achieved so many of your personal goals that you have set for yourselves. But you might still be feeling a little bit empty, maybe a little bit like something is still missing, something is still lacking. Some of you, I feel like it's almost like I can hear this thought process, or, you know, this way of thinking that you might have, or this line of thinking that you might have. Like, I have so, you know, I have so much. I have so many resources. I have a loving family. I have great friends. I have a great career. I'm financially very stable. You know, I've achieved all of this success in my life, but I still feel like something is missing. I still feel this emptiness. I still feel this empty space within me. And you're trying to figure out what that empty space, like, why is that there? And what can you fill it with? I think the answer to your question, group 3, is that is, you know, that is your spirit. That is the hunger of your spirit, of your soul. I recognize and I appreciate that not everybody is spiritual. Not everybody has that, you know, really that side of themselves that they're connected to, or has that desire to, you know, feed their spirit the way that some other people do. And that's okay. But I feel like for a lot of you, group 3, this is something that maybe you are beginning to realize is missing in your life. And this is not necessarily talking about, you know, becoming religious per se, or like going to church, or, you know, a temple, or you know, a religious like institution. I mean, unless that's something you want to do, if that's something that actually interests you, that's one thing. But just in general, this is talking about feeding your spirit. This is talking about maybe some of you thinking more about like the afterlife, or feeling like you want to connect with, you know, loved ones who have passed on. Or some of you may be wanting to connect with spirit guides. Some of you might be maybe even have an interest in like learning different forms of divination, like tarot, or, you know, reading runes, or scrying, you know, whatever. It just feels like a lot of you, your lives have really been not dictated, but, you know, your lives have very much been occupied by the material things. you know, your professional lives, or, you know, dealing with your children or your families, or things of that nature. And, you know, that spiritual side of yourself has just been kind of neglected. And I feel like what they want you to know right now is that now is a good time to start making space for that. You know, start clearing away some space in your life so that you can devote more time to your spiritual well-being. Because for many people, our spiritual well-being is a component to our overall health and happiness, right? We've got our physical well-being, emotional, mental, and then there's also the spiritual aspect, which I feel is probably neglected the most by a lot of people, either because they ignore it completely or because they're trying to, you know, be involved with things that don't resonate with them, that they don't feel connected with, you know, trying to force themselves into a box that they just don't fit into, if you know what I'm saying. It may be time for you to release some of your responsibilities or your obligations that you have spent so much of your life like tending to, and that whether that is career related or family related or whatever, you know, it's time for you to recognize and accept that, like, some things just are not your responsibility, or they don't need to be your responsibility, right? The people around you, you know, they're capable of taking care of themselves. Give them the opportunity to do that. Your job or your business, you know, there's people capable of, you know, leading it into a good direction. You've got to let them do that. It's time for you to step back a little bit and start focusing more on yourself. And when I say focusing on yourself, I mean like taking the time to connect with spirit, to connect in that way, because it's like, I feel like a lot of you are kind of like an island unto yourselves. You may feel very disconnected. Like socially, you have a lot of, you know, people in your life that you communicate with, that you're close to. You've got to, you know, you might be very involved in your communities, but it feels like at the end of the day, some of you do feel very isolated, or you do feel very much like ultimately you're on your own. And I feel like that might be because, you know, spiritually you are disconnected from the source. You've got to work on making that connection. And when you do, then, you know, the work that you're already doing, or the connections that you already have with other people, will become even more fulfilling. I feel like group 3, a lot of you who chose this pile are very like powerful people. Like, you're very successful. You've achieved a lot in your lives. And you do have a lot of things to be proud of. But you're reaching a point now where it's time to kind of pull back from the more tangible, you know, endeavors that you've devoted so much of your time to, and started thinking more about your connection to the source, your relationship to, you know, your spirit guides, your ancestors, thinking more about maybe the afterlife, or what comes next on this journey. I feel like that is what you're kind of being called to do right now. And I think you feel that. I think you do feel that. You feel that kind of longing, or that like desire to connect in that way. Or at the very least, you're feeling that empty space where that, you know, part of yourself is supposed to exist, or supposed to thrive. Okay. So group 3, I think I'm going to leave that there. Those are really all the messages that I'm getting for you guys right now. But I hope this was interesting. I hope that this reading resonated with you. This is just general, so take what applies to you and leave the rest behind. But I really appreciate you guys joining me today, and I hope I see you next time. Bye!